Arturia has launched a new analog emulation, but this one is weird because it's emulating one of their synths, the Minibrute. I know they already did that with the Minibrute, but the Minibrute is mainly digital and it integrates with the software version, so you can see patches and edit the sounds and whatever. But the Minibrute was 100% analog. That on itself, it's interesting for a couple of reasons, especially because this was the first analog synthesizer by Arturia. Before we start, I love having the opportunity of reviewing different software releases, so if you appreciate that, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Also share it with your friends and whatever. So let's check out if this emulation was a good idea by Arturia, and for that I'm going to share with you 3 things that I really liked about this synth, 1 thing that I think it could be better, and 1 big question. Okay, you know I have a Minibrute 2S, and one of my favorite features on it is the metalizer. This is a wave shaper that's applied to the triangle wave, and it can give a really interesting sound that I'm too lazy to replicate. I haven't heard that sound in many other synths, so it's great that now we have access to that in a software. So now as I have this virtual instrument, I can just play around with the sound of the metalizer in combination with other features of this synth. I will be uploading presets for this synthesizer to my Patreon and members pages, which will include an analog lab pack, so you can use them even if you don't own this synth. Now you could argue that I could just plug in my Minibrute 2S, and that's true, but the software let me create many instances very quick. And of course this review is also for people that doesn't have the hardware. Now the metalizer is great and all, but where this synthesizer really shines is on the filter. It's an Steiner filter which has its own character, and it can also self-oscillate. But the resonance is very special because when you increase it, you start introducing saturation, and it sounds very edgy, dirty, and just great. Part of the filter is the brute factor, which is present on all the brute synthesizers by Arturia. It's a fancy way of saying feedback, but it's actually a pretty unique type of feedback. When you use it subtly, you can add body and have more character of the filter, but if you go extreme, well, you destroy the sound in a really nice way. This is again a really unique sound that I haven't heard many other synthesizers do. Now you have to be careful with it because it can get really noisy, and sometimes when you go to the maximum values it becomes atonal. I mean, it doesn't follow the key track of your keyboard. But even noisy and extreme, the sounds are great. They're perfect for any type of sound design. So this knob in every position will give you a different result. Now about the filters and everything else, the analog sound is very well modeled, and you can get huge and distorted type of sounds that just sound fantastic. Everything else are your standard features for a basic synthesizer, including an arpeggiator. But you can also play chords with it by changing the voicing here at the bottom. Now, the third thing that I really liked about the synth is the same for every new analog emulation by Arturia. You can put almost all the effect that Pigment has, and you have 4 slots. So you can start experimenting with weird delays, different types of reverbs, the multiband dynamics, many types of distortion, and all the other stable effects that are part of software Arturia synths. So just with all of these, you can get really different results, from lush and beautiful sounding pads and keys, to distorted and heavy leads and basses, so whatever you want. Now, there's one thing I believe it could be better implemented, and that's the modulation. I know this is emulating a hardware unit which had one filter envelope, one amplitude envelope, one LFO, and set parameters that can be affected by them. That's okay, every analog emulation is almost the same, but if you compare this with other analog emulations by Arturia, it lacks an advanced tab with more modulations. Even the Juno 60 emulation has the possibility of using a second envelope. So it could have been great to have maybe a different LFO and some sort of mod matrix, maybe not for every parameter, but for more parameters than the ones that you see here in the screen. Now, this doesn't take away from the fact that this sounds amazing and it can give you many different results. And also I can use the modulators on Bitwig to control any parameter I want. But not all my viewers have Bitwig, so that's a thing. So what's left is one big question. Do you think it was necessary to make this emulation? Don't get me wrong, I really like this synthesizer, but I get that for some people this may not be something impressive. Now, this opens up other questions. Would you like if Arturia emulates other of their hardware synths? And what do you think about a company that makes hardware and software instruments emulating their own hardware instruments? Personally, I find it great because it gives the opportunity for people that doesn't have the budget to play with these hardware emulations. Now, adding to all of these questions, which makes me realize it wasn't just one big question, is the price point. Right now it's $99, but the normal price is $200. And I know that Arturia has set prices for all of their synths and whatnot, but do you think it's a bit expensier than usual, or do you think it's a right price, considering the starting unit was a budget synthesizer to start with? So I would love to take this discussion to the comment section. So let me know your thoughts and everything else that you want to say. Thank you so much for watching, I will see you next time, and bye bye!